The US just sent Iran a 15-point peace plan to end the war, and Iran said no. Oil crashed over 3% on the headlines, the S&P 500 surged, and then everything reversed when Tehran fired back with its own demands, including control of the Strait of Hormuz. This is the most important story in markets right now, and it's going to determine whether we're heading for a recession or a relief rally. Let me break it all down. To understand why today's headlines matter so much, you need to understand the backdrop. The US and Iran have been in a military conflict that has disrupted the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway through which roughly 20% of the world's oil supply flows. Since the disruption began, oil prices have surged. Brent crude hit over $100 a barrel. US crude has been hovering around $90. That oil shock has rippled through the entire economy. Goldman Sachs just raised its recession probability to 30%, up from 20% before the war. Moody's Analytics has it even higher, at 48.6%. Goldman now expects Brent to average $105 in March and $115 in April, with PCE inflation rising to 3.1% by December. Full-year GDP growth got trimmed to just 2.1%. So every single headline about whether this war ends or escalates is directly tied to your portfolio, your gas prices, and potentially your job. Here's what happened today. Late Tuesday night, the US sent Iran a 15-point peace plan. This morning, President Trump confirmed it, saying the US and Iran are in negotiations right now, and that Tehran is talking sense. Markets loved it. The S&P 500 jumped about 0.8%. The Dow gained roughly 330 points. The Nasdaq rose nearly 1%. And oil? US crude tumbled over 3% to around $89 a barrel. Brent dropped to about $101. Gold traded at around $4,560 per ounce as safe haven demand continued. But then came the reversal. Iranian state media reported that Tehran would not accept a ceasefire. Sources told NBC News that Iran laid out its own 5-point counteroffer, and the big one? They want control of the Strait of Hormuz. That demand sent oil prices bouncing off their lows and briefly knocked stock futures back. So right now, we're in a standoff. The US wants a deal, Iran is playing hardball, and markets are caught in the middle, whipsawing on every headline. Let's talk about what this means for your money. The energy sector is the most directly exposed. XLE, the Energy Select Sector Spider, has been one of the best performers this year on elevated oil prices. But if a ceasefire actually happens, energy stocks could sell off hard as the war premium evaporates. On the flip side, a ceasefire would be massively bullish for the broader market. Goldman's entire recession thesis is built on oil staying elevated. If Brent drops back to $80, which Goldman itself forecasts under a resolution scenario, that 30% recession probability collapses. Consumer spending recovers, inflation cools, the Fed gets more room to cut. The biggest winners in a ceasefire scenario: airlines, consumer discretionary, and tech. Companies that benefit from lower input costs and stronger consumer confidence. But if Iran holds firm and the strait stays disrupted, oil goes to $115 in April per Goldman's forecast. Recession odds go above 50% per Moody's. And you'll want to be in energy, defense, and gold. So what happens next? The key window to watch is the next 48 to 72 hours. The US peace plan is on the table. Iran's counteroffer is out there. If negotiations gain traction, expect oil to break below $85 and the S&P to test its recent highs. But if talks collapse, and Iran's demand for Hormuz control is a huge sticking point, we could see oil spike back above $100 and the market give back all of today's gains, plus more. The Polymarket prediction market has been tracking ceasefire odds, and it's been volatile, with reports of suspicious betting activity from newly created accounts placing large wagers ahead of diplomatic announcements. My take? This is a headline-driven market. Don't try to trade every tick. But if you're sitting on cash, a confirmed ceasefire would be the green light for a major risk-on trade. Keep your watch list ready. That's the situation. The US and Iran are in a standoff that's moving every market on the planet. Oil, stocks, gold, crypto, everything is trading off these headlines. If you found this breakdown useful, smash that like button and subscribe so you never miss a market update. Drop a comment below. Do you think we get a deal, or are we headed for $115 oil? I'll see you in the next one.